I'm going to move on to our next caller, and it's somebody that I have often said is one of my favorite callers on the show. It's John from Canada. So we're going to bring him up, and he wants to discuss the meaning of woke and how it's wrong. So hi, John. How's it going?
Hi, Kel. How are you?
I'm doing good, John. I appreciate you calling.
Before we get started, I want to talk to your partner for a second. Jimmy Jr. I heard earlier that I heard earlier that you were down in Texas training people how to fight. Do you have a martial arts background?
I wasn't in Texas. I didn't say Texas. I didn't disclose my location on purpose. And I actually wasn't completely honest about where I was or what I was doing. I was very vague. And that's on purpose. Yeah, I was teaching very basic hand-to-hand combat and grappling skills to incoming military personnel.
That's interesting. What style do you practice?
Mostly Brazilian jiu-jitsu, it was a grappling type of wrestling art. So I just want to say, since I need to take a few minutes now, since I've brought up my professional career as a military member, I just want to say that my thoughts and opinions are my own, and that I don't represent any component of the Department of Defense, the United States government, or the military in any way, shape, or form. With that being said, though, John, can we move on to your call, please? To your question.
Okay. I just wanted to say, before we get started, I just want to know, what is your definition of woke?
I tend to use the original definition that was used by the black community when they started using it. It was meant to be aware of what was happening. Like you needed to be woke in case somebody snuck up on you. You don't be caught sleeping.
Yeah, listen to Kelley and his street slang. Hell yeah. Man, you would do well up here in New York with me.
Dude, I grew up on the streets. I was homeless for a while, remember?
Yeah.
I'm pretty streets. I was lucky to be book smart and street smart.
Well, I just want to say I'm against woke because I think it's wrong. I think it divides people.
That it's what to people?
It divides people, he said.
Okay. Okay. But the divisions are already there, though, aren't they, John? Isn't it just the definition of the division that's already there?
But shouldn't we be working to eliminate divisions? For instance, under woke policies, let's say two people, a black man and a white man, are competing for the same job. The black man will get the job over the white man simply because he's black.
No, that's not true.
Go ahead. I think that is a gross generalization about policies that this country has adopted, but it's not an end-all be-all to every scenario. Yes, there certainly have been minority quotas, not just for black people, but for women and others. But that's not the way that every job hiring process ends.
Yeah, actually there was like quotas with universities and stuff, and those have been ruled illegal by the Supreme Court, and we've done away with those here in the United States. But it's not. First off, that's not what you were talking about. Was not woke. I think that's more like DEI. Right. And so woke is more like being aware of the situation is what I would say. And now you're talking about one of the situations that you should be woke about is DEI. Right. And it's not that the black man's going to get the job before the white man. It's to make it so that the black man has the same opportunity to get that job as the white man has. That's all it is. And it's not just black man. It's any member of any minority has the same chance to get that job as any member of the majority. Does that make sense, John?
It does make sense, but you do agree with me that at the end it should be the best man or woman that should win.
I think everybody is in agreement.
John, the thing is though, that sometimes the best man or best woman is not selected because of how they look, who they are, where they come from, or whatever. And that's why we have the policies in place that you're talking about. And for you to say that woke is divisive, woke is a response to the division. Woke is a way of reminding people not to accept everything they're told and to keep their eyes open and their mind open to understanding the way things might really be, like systemic racism in the United States. And so I would say that I disagree with your interpretation of the term woke.
So that's not what woke means.
What is not what woke means? You said woke means division, right? If I can generalize, and Kelley and I are both in agreement that woke means to remain aware.
To remain aware of that division, right? To not be blind to it, and especially the people who are going to be suffering from that division to be woke, to be awake to it, to awake to the danger and the inequality, and hopefully work to change things. And I think that's something that us in the majority, and me being a white cis male in America, I won the lottery, right? The lottery in America. And I think it's up to people like me and Jimmy to work at that too, to make it an equal thing for everybody. And it just isn't mostly today, because there is a majority of people who would pick a majority person to fill that job, oftentimes even over a more qualified candidate. I think we're really working at ending that in the US at least. And hopefully in the next 30, 40, 50 years, we can abolish it altogether.
Well, Kelley, when I see you, I don't see a cis white male, or I just see you, Kelley. And I don't know what you do for a living, but if you can bring something to an organization, that's all that should matter.
Look, hey, John, I appreciate what you're saying, but I don't think any of us are absent of bias or of some kind of influence by the outside world. We are all subject and victims of programming. And we have to work relatively frequently and very hard to make sure that we overcome that programming. This thing called white privilege, which people insist doesn't exist, I tend to disagree with. The same way that I can count on, or at least for a majority of my life, count on turning on the TV and seeing all white people that were just like me, who probably had lives that were very similar, is something that is unique to white people. How many black people in America turned on Friends or Seinfeld and thought, I can relate? None of them. And likewise, those shows didn't have very many black people in them. And that just goes to show you how, and I don't think that those shows were purposely racist. I just think that those shows were victims of programming. The people that created it, the entire system that allowed that show to take to the airwaves for so long. If we look back, that goes through the United States history. Let's look at shows like the Little Rascals, which I think was in the 1930s. It just goes to show you that the black kids in that show were poor and raggedy and had bad speech. And you know what? As a kid who grew up in the 80s and 90s, I often saw the same thing on TV when it came to black people. And so, I need to make sure that I don't let those earlier influences in my life affect my decision-making. And I can't say that I've been perfect throughout my life. I just need to be woke to that taking place and be cognizant of when I may come under that kind of influence and that kind of thinking, and work to overturn it. That's the way I see that.
Excellent.
Okay, well, let me tell you something. I'm telling you this right now. When someone watches a movie or TV show, they're not thinking, oh, where are all the black people? Where are all the Latino people? Where are all the gay people?
You might not be.
Yeah, that's I wanted to say that too.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
They're thinking this is a good story. If you have a good story with characters that you can relate with, and it makes you feel something, I guarantee you people will read the book, they'll turn the TV show, they'll pay the ticket. For instance, the original Star Wars trilogy worked. Okay, the original Star Wars movie had nothing but white people, but I guarantee you black people, people in Japan, everyone loved that movie because it was good. It was it showed universal archetypes. It was good against evil. It was a good.
This is incredibly wishful thinking.
I want to go back to what Jimmy and I were both going to stop you on before. I think Jimmy was right. That's not the way you think. But other people do think that way, and that's part of it. And here's one of the things too. A lot of minority people think that way. A lot of minority people watch Star Wars and they wonder, how come there's nobody that looks like me in this movie? Right? I still love the movie.
No, John, you don't get to come on the show and yell at us and talk over us. All right. We're giving you an opportunity to talk.
I've been real nice, John. But there are a lot of people. There are a lot of black people, a lot of Latinos, a lot of women that watch Star Wars, and they were like, "Why aren't there more people that look like me in this movie?" I love this movie. It was a great plot. The filming was great. Special effects were amazing in its day. I went and saw Star Wars 3 times the first week at the theater when it came out. I loved it. Right?
Yeah.
It was a great freaking movie, and I think everybody will agree it's a great movie. But there are people who think that. This is a whole universe. Are there no black people in this entire universe? The Star Wars universe? Are there no brown people? Are there no people of color at all? Where are all the women at? There doesn't seem to be enough women. They went into the bar in Mos Eisley and there was one person that seemed to be a female, and that was the singer, and nobody else in the bar that I can remember. So I mean, there is that. It kind of is a warped view of the reality of the diversity of people, if that makes any sense.
Okay. I'm saying this right now as a black person. I never once thought that ever. I paid attention to the story and I loved it. And I didn't care that Luke was white or black. And I never once thought, where are the white people, where are the black people, whatever. And that's what good storytelling is about. And I guarantee you, if Hollywood went back to that, you would make tons of more money. I know they would. You're a very smart guy, Kelley. I know you agree with me.
No, you can't say that. You don't know. Kelley just told you what he thinks.
I can't predict if it would make more money or not. I really can't. But I have to, like I said, I know there's a lot of people who feel that way, and I have to respect them, right? One of the crew said Billy D. Williams was Black Lando, and I was like, yeah, but he wasn't in the original movie. He came in the second movie, so.
Lando Calrissian, and it's funny too because Hollywood recognized the need for integration in some of these cases, right?
That's why Lando got brought in.
Look at Ghostbusters, right? The Ghostbusters in the movie starts off 3 white guys, right? And then they hire a black guy who just is looking for a job. And he has no scientific background. He's not an educated professor like the other 3. I mean, that speaks of a dichotomy of thinking there. It's like, well, let's bring this black guy in, but let's not make the black guy that qualified. He just needs a job, right? So at least now we've got a balanced cast where we have a black person to attract a black audience, but we're still going to suppress his success a little bit, which is what white America has done to black people since black people have been in this country.
He had some of the best lines in that movie too, I thought.
He's a great actor. Ernie Hudson's a great actor.
That's a big Twinkie.
Hey, John, I appreciate that you're black and you bring a different perspective than what I'm used to hearing. I just think it's not in alignment with the woke movement.
Yeah. John, I always love talking to you. You know that. I always love hearing your opinion. So as much as we might disagree, I always hope that we could stay friendly with each other. So
Kelley, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Kelley. I don't want to argue with you, but I just feel that okay, you have to agree with me that we have to get rid of racism, correct?
I think, yes, I agree to that. I will agree that we do need to get rid of racism. But I also think
Okay.
that we need to go ahead. I let you go first. Go ahead. We were going to make a point and I cut you off. I'm sorry.
Okay. I think the problem here is we're disagreeing about how to do it. I believe that we should all be judged as human beings, and we shouldn't be thinking of each other as divisions.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I honestly believe. That's the idea.
I agree. It's just how do we get there, right? That's the problem, and I think one of the big problems is because the majority that has been in power for centuries is institutionalized in that power and has made it so that in many places, maybe not where you live or not everywhere, but has made it difficult for people who are minorities to get ahead, or not to not get ahead, but just to be even with the ruling majority. And part of getting rid of racism is getting rid of those institutions that have been controlled by that ruling majority for centuries, that we need to get to make the whole system a little bit more fair for everybody, because the system was set up for a certain group and class of people, if that makes any sense to you, John. So to me, it's like we have to kind of like deconstruct the institutions that we have and sort of rebuild them. And that's not something that just happens overnight. It's something that you chip away at and work on slowly. And part of that is, one of the first things you have to do is make people aware that there's a problem. And that's what the woke movement about, is making people aware of that problem. I don't think it's giving us any, and I'll be honest, I don't think the woke movement is giving us answers on how to move forward, like really good ones, but it is doing a good job of making people aware that the problem is there and that it needs to be changed. And it's making people stand up and try to change things. So.
Okay, well, maybe we should agree to disagree, but I'll talk to you later, Kelley.
Okay, cool, John. Thanks for calling. Like I said, I always enjoy talking to you, John. I always have for years now. You've always been one of my favorite callers.
Likewise. Have a good day.